I've now owned and used my Mainline Prohub Dyno nearly every day for 3 years now. Let's talk about my long-term thoughts about it, the problems I've had with it, and compare it to other dynos I've owned and used over the years. Ironically, YouTube actually suggested one of my own videos to me the other night, which happened to be about answering all of the questions I get asked regarding my Mainline dyno. I clicked on it just to see what my old videos look like, and it was overwhelmingly awful. But it did remind me to make the video that you're watching right now that I've wanted to make for a while. At this point, it feels like a majority of the people in the USA that have bought a Prohub dyno have contacted me in one way or another and asked a bunch of questions. So hopefully this will help everybody out. I feel like I've had a hand in selling at least 50 of these things. I do have a very good relationship with Mainline, but just to be clear, I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, and they have no idea that I'm making this video. So like I said before, I do use my Prohub dyno just about every single day, so it's had a ton of use and on all sorts of different power levels, from front-wheel drive 4-cylinder cars to twin-turbo Pro mods that exceed the limits of this particular 3,000 horsepower model Prohub. And after 3 years of use, I'm still every bit just as impressed now as I was when I first got it and the first time I ever used it. Obviously, the main reason to like this dyno is the fact that there is no wheel spin ever. So even at 3,000 horsepower, the results are repeatable as the car is. So not only are the actual numbers repeatable, but the actual dyno run itself is deadly repeatable. You can overlay the logs from your tuning software and the runs will track perfectly on top of themselves run after run. You surely can't say that about some of the other hub dynos out on the market. Another wildly overlooked aspect of the Prohub dyno is the steady state control. You can run basically any car for as long as you want and the car will overheat well before the dyno even shows any sign that it cares that you're running it like that. Also, unlike every other dyno I've used, you can always count on having an RPM input into the Prohub. My old DynoJet seemed to be able to get a tach signal pickup on maybe 1 out of 50 cars, which was super annoying. There are actually a handful of different ways to get an RPM signal as well, which makes it really nice, so you always have options. The wideband O2 always works as well. My DynoPack dyno had a Motec PLM wideband that always worked and was really good, but the DynoJet and Mustang dynos always had issues. There's literally nothing more frustrating than trying to tune a car, but the equipment that you're trying to use to tune it isn't working. It'll drive you nuts. The Mainline fan is also amazing. Everybody always asks me if they need to buy the fan. I wouldn't say that you need to buy it, but if you can financially swing it, it's worth every penny. Kind of aside from how well the fan works as a fan, being able to control it with the keyboard and to be able to set up auto on and off parameters is invaluable. What people tend not to think about with a fan like this is if you run it all of the time, it'll actually cool the car off too much. And then each time you start the car up, you're gonna have to wait for it to warm back up and it takes forever, which can be super annoying. And the fan integration with the dyno itself takes care of that whole situation. So the number one question people have who are seriously considering purchasing a Prohub dyno is how reliable is it and have you had any problems with it? So after 3 years using it nearly every single day and collectively dynoing several 100,000 of horsepower, and I have literally had no problems. I did have to tighten one screw on a terminal and I have added grease to the grease fittings, every so often. But as far as the dyno goes, it has literally been problem-free, which is amazing. I can't say I've had the same luck with some of the other dynos that I've had and used, but we'll get to the dyno comparison in a minute. But as impressive as the dyno is, it's not nearly as impressive as the support that you receive from Mainline. Any questions, scenario you may have, they always make sure that you're taken care of. When you spend this kind of money on anything, having that support system is extremely important, and Mainline support really is top-notch. Support from some of the other manufacturers seems to come screeching to a halt once they take your money, like when you're told a 2-week delivery time before you pay, but as soon as you pay, that 2 weeks turns into 2 months, then 4 months, then 6 months after they collect your payment. The few dollars that you save by going with the cheaper option suddenly doesn't feel like the best investment anymore when that happens. Mainline is always upfront and honest. They might tell you a little bit of a longer lead time going into it, but they're going to stick to that lead time, and other manufacturers kind of don't have that same approach. So when you're given a lead time, you need to verify that it's accurate and you're not just being told what you want to hear. When I purchased my Prohub, I talked with several others and I wasn't really concerned about hearing the good stuff about the machine, as I was already very well aware of the good sides of it. I kept asking everybody what complaints they had or what could be better. Everybody would always say nothing and that they're, perfectly happy with it, which is mostly true. But you could go buy a new Ferrari today and you're gonna find things about it that you wish were a little bit different. Those were the answers that I was after. So after prying and not taking nothing as an answer, everybody did seem to have the same second answer, which was the software. Not that it's bad, it's actually way better than most, but it maybe does feel like it's a little bit dated, like it could use a little bit of updating, housekeeping. There's a lot of stuff in there that you'll likely never use, making it seem as if maybe it's a little overwhelming. But once you figure out the things that you need to mess with and you learn to ignore the things that you don't need to mess with, it's actually very simple and very user-friendly. Probably the only other complaint, if you even want to call it that I would add to that is the actual, like the hub units themselves, where they plug into the control cabinet with all the computers and stuff. They have these really big connectors, because the cable is pretty big. So they have these really big connectors that actually make it super easy and simple to unplug them. And if that was the only connection that actually connected the hub to the computer, then that would be amazing. But unfortunately, there is part of that same cable, there is a second connector that actually goes inside of the cabinet. And it's not necessarily hard to get to or hard to unplug. It's just a little bit impractical if you wanted to, say, use the dyno and then unplug it and then store it somewhere else and put it away each time you used it. So minor little gripe, but I'd say it's borderline impossible for you not to fall in love with using a Prohub dyno. Now to quickly kind of compare the other dynos I've had to the Mainline. I had a DynoJet 248, the big roller one, and that is what I started out with. I actually like this dyno for the most part. The fact that it did nothing made it really easy to use. Basically, you had a green button, which means go, and you have a red button, which means stop, and that's all you get. No steady state control or any other bells and whistles. The tach signal never worked. The O2 sensor rarely worked. The tires would just start spinning at anything above 700 horsepower. So on front wheel drive cars, as we did use that dyno a lot, and the knurling was pretty worn out. The stack, or basically the computer that controls the dyno, would go bad what felt like every few years, and it was really expensive to fix it. And they would conveniently enough always charge you for a software update that cost a fortune when you upgraded the stack, because they would say that the old software was no longer compatible, or there was always some reason why you had to pay a bunch of money for the software as well. It was definitely one of those situations where they were just charging you a bunch of money because they could. It always felt a little bit dirty to me. I didn't really like that aspect of the dyno, but other than that, it worked pretty well. The next dyno, I actually didn't own this one, but I rented a shop that had a Mustang 1750 DE dyno in there. I understand a lot of people own and like their Mustangs dynos, but I didn't really have that good of an experience with the one that I used. There were a handful of things that I probably could have done to make it better, but since it wasn't mine, I kind of wasn't in a position to be able to modify it and change things up. I found the software setup to be super annoying. The power levels were actually so low that you're constantly explaining that the car isn't broken, and it's just that the dyno reads really low, but most people don't seem to understand that concept. People would literally have their car tuned, be so disappointed with the numbers that they would go and have their cars retuned at a different shop, and then they would say that this new tuner picked up, however much horsepower it was. And it wasn't that it was picking up any more power, it was just that it's two different dynos and they read drastically different. So when we go from this Mustang dyno to a 224 DynoJet, they're, depending on the power level, there could be a several hundred horsepower difference. Like the numbers were drastically different. I don't know if it was a calibration thing or what, but again, it was out of my control and it was super frustrating. Also, the O2 sensor setup didn't work very well, and it was terrible on low horsepower cars. There just wasn't enough resolution. So you could add 4 degrees of timing and you wouldn't even see a difference in the chart or a difference in the numbers. That seemed to go away as the power levels went up, but the dyno definitely seemed very unhappy on lower horsepower cars. The tach signal was maybe even worse than the DynoJet, but if I remember right, the actual pickup was in pretty rough shape on that one, so that probably could have been corrected, but again, it's just kind of what I had to deal with when I used it. It also had this big giant computer command center that took up a bunch of space that had to be mounted to the wall. And then it also had like the typical like cabinet with all the computer stuff in there as well. And the dyno was huge. It was a 4-post lift type deal, so it took up a ton of space. And it felt like once a month we'd have to start taking panels apart to wiggle this cable or replace that part. I will give Mustang the benefit of the doubt on this one and just assume that something wasn't right or something wasn't set up right on this particular one. But either way, I just simply did not enjoy using it, to the point where I had a dyno in my shop and I still went out and bought another dyno. That next dyno that I bought was my first hub dyno. I always like the concept of hub dynos once you go back to my Dynojet 248 days and how much time we wasted just trying to get these cars to maintain traction at higher power levels. Is just such a waste of time and totally unsafe in certain situations. So once I had an opportunity to grab a hub dyno, I went that route and I haven't looked back since. Now, I actually really did like my Dynapack dyno, and the only reason I swapped to the Mainline from the Dynapack was once we switched from doing 4-cylinder cars with clutches and then we switched to 8-cylinder cars with torque converters. I just started maxing out the dyno all the time. And the Dynapack actually only used wheel speed to calculate engine RPM, which it also used for the control rate of the runs. So once the torque converter started slipping, it just totally freaked the whole dyno out. I think I had like 3 or 4 cars in a row that I was just simply unable to finish tuning because of those issues with the dyno. So that's when I finalized my decision to purchase the Mainline. Now, I either can't or don't want to comment further on any of the other brands and options of dynos, as I either don't have enough experience with them to really say one way or the other, or I just won't have anything nice to say at all. Now, I think if I was going to buy a dyno that wasn't a Pro Hub, just to kind of give a wider kind of look here, is I think I would go with a basic, simple, cheap, used Dynojet 224. It's a small roller, they're pretty small and sort of the industry standard as far as comparing numbers go. So basically, like if your dyno reads lower than a Dynojet 224, it's considered to read low. And if your dyno reads higher than a 224, it's considered to read high. I'm far more concerned in using a dyno as a tuning tool versus comparing numbers like that. But some people really take that stuff to heart, and sometimes it's just easier to have what's considered to be the standard, so you don't have to defend these numbers this way or can defend these numbers that way. It's super annoying. So there is something to be said about using what is considered to be kind of the normal numbers, or however you want to look at that. And I did actually consider purchasing a used 224 before I ultimately ended up purchasing my second Pro Hub dyno, but the opportunity presented itself to go with the second Pro Hub, so I didn't hesitate. I just went right in with it, and I actually haven't even had an opportunity to set it up and use it yet, as I basically quit working on cars here, so I need to move some stuff here so we can set the second dyno up, and dealing with some building permits and things of that nature for about a year now. So super frustrating and annoying. Hopefully we'll get past that here pretty soon. It's gonna be really nice to set up the second dyno. It's gonna speed things up tremendously for me. So all exaggerating aside, my Mainline Pro Hub dyno is one of, if not the best purchases I have ever made in my life. So if you're in the market for a dyno and you're on the fence of if you should go with Mainline or whatever else it may be that you're considering, I couldn't possibly feel any stronger about saying that the Mainline is without a doubt the way that I would recommend that you go. If you'd like to see some cars in action on our Mainline dyno, make sure you check out one of these videos popping up on the screen right now.